I'm really excited about this, actually. As Katie mentioned when we first started talking, that I've had my hands in the SDPC world and data privacy agreements for about 2+ years. And so now marrying a lot of that work with a lot of the compliance piece has really been helpful for me to just get a really good grasp of the entire landscape. And with that being said, I have some things to share that I think are very helpful, and I'm really excited about. So this is a URL that you can join us with. This presentation has some hyperlinks in it. My goal for this presentation, for those of you that are joining us, is to provide clarity for you on how to remediate your compliance review report, should you need to. And, really to just get everybody excited about all of the progress that we've made. I think that everybody should be really proud, and we've got some metrics that will demonstrate that. So if sometimes you're looking at me and I'm looking up here, it's because I'm looking up here and I'm not looking down there. But so anyway, please join me. Let's get going. So today's annual compliance review, we're going to get a little bit into the weeds of some of this stuff. I'm anticipating that there's quite a few of you. Let me make sure that I'm actually on the right. Okay, because I just wanted to make sure that we're talking about the correct things. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit more into the weeds of some of the laws and regulations, but not a ton. That's why this is a hyperlinked document. There's quite a few of you that have been here for longer than most of us and helped create a lot of this infrastructure. And there are those of you that maybe this is your first time speaking to us. And if this is your first time working with us, please let us know in the chat so that we know who our new friends are and if we can provide you with any extra support. But these are the pieces of evidence that I took a look at. I would also like to thank most of you, all of you, for your patience in regard to this report. We have had some turnover and some different, just adjustments, and me actually, learning how to read the spreadsheet of doom. It's the biggest spreadsheet I've ever seen in my life, but it's super amazing. And I commend Katie for all of the work that she's done in this, and David and Whitney as well in creating this infrastructure. Anyway, so we're going to talk about these pieces. We're going to get into the review results and then some conclusion and action items. My hope is that you can have your reports viewable to you so that you can kind of run down in conjunction. We're going to crosswalk some stuff. If you have things that you need to correct, that hopefully, you can correct it by the end of today. We'll talk about the process for doing that. I don't think that many of us are very far off from having a glowing report, and that's something that I really want to highlight here in the next little bit. So let's talk about the annual notice of FERPA rights. And as you can see here, this is a hyperlink. If you want to click on this, we'll give you access to a lot of the supporting resource. So lots of stuff on here. What our annual notice of FERPA rights consists of is what we can see, this 4 parent rights: to inspect and review, to seek and amend, inaccurate, misleading violations, that they can amend those things. There's consent to disclosures of personally identifiable information. So that would be anything that you do with like a third party. And then they know how to file a complaint with FERPA. There's a whole lot of stuff on here. And guess what? Some of you may have had an incomplete on this. And on your report, this little link down here, you can click it and it will take you to our Canvas page that will instruct you on how to remediate this specific piece, which, if you were to do so, would be as easy as downloading this document, which you can click on now if this is a piece that you're missing, and go through and augment it in the pieces that may need you to specify the name of your school, who wish to ask the school or principal these little pieces here so that you can customize it. You could even click this right here and download it. And then upload that to your school's website and put annual notification of FERPA rights, and you could essentially pass that piece. Next, the notice of forwarding records to other schools. This is a part of the annual FERPA notice. Some of you may want to check your language. A lot of what I did when I checked this was I would go to your FERPA rights, and I would do, a lot of them are PDFs. I would do a Control F and look for these pieces upon request. It was a nice little thing that's tucked into the language or to officials of the school. This is not necessarily something that is a have to piece, but this is a you probably should piece to incorporate into your annual notice of FERPA rights. And a lot of times you can see this is what it would be. We suggest you add a notice of forwarding records. This is what it would look like if this was missing to your annual notice of FERPA rights. And as you can see here, the one that we just looked at, it just so happens to have that piece already baked in. So by downloading this and uploading it to your website and then conducting all of the little tiny resubmission pieces that we've set up, this can be taken care of probably in about 4 minutes. Okay. Oh no, what happened? Oh, I downloaded it. See, be careful what you wish for. Okay. And then here you can see upon notice, and it gives you the language that you would want to include. Directory information notice. So directory information notice is the annual notice. This is another one of those kind of federal pieces that we want to include. For parents and eligible students, that describes the data elements the LEA would not generally be considered harmful or an invasion of privacy if disclosed. LEAs are allowed to disclose this information to the general public without needing parental consent. This notice can be altered and adjusted for the specific needs of each individual school and does not need to be consistent across an LEA. As you can see here, here are some typical things. And if you clicked on this, it would take you to our course, which would show you a lot of additional things that this could include. LEAs may not designate the following information as student information. And these are essentially the two pieces that you'll find here, the social security number and the student ID number. And as you can see here, this will hyperlink this to that piece if you'd like to do that. And of course, you can come up with this all on your own. But you know, Katie has done a lot of work to create a corresponding data manager Canvas course that has all of this information in it. And it's also going to give you examples of things that you're going to want to include. This is some of where folks had incompletes on a lot of theirs, was in this area of when they would need to be notified that there's a due date for opting out of directory information. And so some of those dates have not been updated or they've been omitted. So those are pieces that you'd want to look at. This is what a typical incomplete would look like. Notice the date and the timeline of parents have requested to opt out, et cetera. But here's a model document that you can go in and customize, and you can over here, you know, like it'll correspond with the Canvas course of the different things. There's something that is kind of adjacent to this that it talks about in the Canvas course that we won't talk about now, which is called a limited directory information notice, in the sense that you can kind of do more of like an a la carte piece. That may be preferable in some instances, depending upon the size and scale of your LEA. However, it can be very difficult to manage all of those specific metrics for your student body. So that's one thing that you may want to look at. But again, here is a model document that you can check. Let me take a little commercial break real quick and look at the chat. Yes, I sent these out on Monday. If you did not get yours, it was because either it may have gone to somebody that completed the assessment or the responses that's maybe no longer at your agency, or I did not get your submission. And there were 17 LEAs who have not yet submitted. And we'll talk about that in a second, but I'm very hopeful that we'll get that taken care of actually relatively quickly. Let's talk about this little thing that's tucked in to the Directory Information Notice, this Military Recruiter and Institutions of Higher Education Notice. Most times it's this part of institutions of higher education that's been omitted. So what you can see here, this is a direct language out of our Canvas course. This is not applicable to anyone that does not have 11th or 12th graders. So if you have 11th or 12th graders, this is something that is applicable to you. If you do not, then this is not a metric that is applicable to you. If there is a mistake in your report regarding whether or not we have you listed as having 11th or 12th graders, please let us know that. I will also say, once I sent out the report, my email inbox filled up relatively quickly. I'm not ignoring everybody. I understand that we have a sense of urgency at wanting to get this corrected, and I too have a sense of urgency. I'm not ignoring all of you, but I'm going to actually talk about how amazing that fervor amongst this community is. So we'll get to that. But then, as you can see here, that there is this piece that's normally omitted, but not not higher education. That's the part that's usually written. It's the higher institutions. So as in this very high resolution screenshot, you can see that we suggest adding language to your notice. This is actually a clickable link, I believe, that'll take you to that piece. But as you can see here in that directory information notice piece, it is also included, and it says right here to provide military recruiters or institutions of higher education. So this would then meet the requirements for that piece. Next, student data collection notice. Oh, I'd also like to reiterate that directory information or anything that uses that does not refer to anything that is like a student directory, something that you would think is like the school's white pages, so that you can call your son's friend and see if they want to have a play date or something like that. That is not the directory information piece. That's a totally separate kind of idea. Student data collection notice. These are the pieces that are involved in that. If you've got something that needed to be corrected, we could go in and you can check that. But I hope that some of you are seeing a theme in that. If this was something that was missing for whatever reason, there is a model document that you can click on right now and update, and you can add that to your privacy ecosystem on your website. That's one thing I'd like to echo. There are, in checking 139 of our 156 LEA submissions, all of you have lots of very creative ways on your websites of sharing and displaying this information. What I've seen has been a best practice with a lot of LEAs has been actually setting aside a student data privacy page that has these elements in it. It's very clearly labeled. You could say Metadata Dictionary and or approved applications. What one of the LEAs has done that I thought was very cool was had all of their training elements for their LEA in regards to data privacy, and you can link to the stuff that we've already created for you in that little interface there. So if you're looking at what's the best way to curate all of this information and put it on your website so that next time we go to look at this, like it's just a split second, I can help you with that. I'd be interested in showing you some examples of some best practices that are out there. Okay, so this would be the student data collection notice. And like I've said, the theme is we already have a model document for you. So if you're missing this, it could take you about 3 to 4 minutes to get it up and going. A data governance plan. This is essentially the very detailed processes and procedures that your LEA uses to protect student data. This is straight from our Canvas course. It says it should have these at minimum 7 topics addressed. In some of the reports, you can see here an incomplete report would be update the retention and expungement policy in your policy. policy. And like our theme of the day is, I'm teaching you how to fish. I was really quickly trying to create a cartoon while the other presenters were going and showing me like fishing and looking over at Troy being like, Troy, this is how you fit. But it didn't work out that quickly. Anyway, maybe in the future. We have an LEA data governance plan, model document that you can fill out these yellow spaces to, and of course it's longer than these 2 pages. But you can then add this to your student data privacy interface. And actually, this is not something that we want you to just fill out and put on your website. Like, there's value to these documents. There's value to this guidance. And what it really does is it helps create an infrastructure in your agency that really does promote this privacy culture that we like to adhere to. So these are some results of the things that we just saw. So what I'm really saying is, of 156 LEAs, 139 submitted this year. So 89% of the state's LEAs. Of those 89%, this translates down here to the 139. You're looking at, 135, 124, 133, 135, like the level of, fidelity that we have across, 89% of our state LEAs when it comes to these policies is very encouraging to me. What it says to me is that we have very little work to do to improve these numbers. And then when it comes to the remaining 17 LEAs, it's just going to be a matter of how we just set up and curate their infrastructure from the beginning. So this is a very, very promising piece of information. Metadata Dictionary. Okay, so this is the year that we really kind of jumped into the MDD, and this is one of the reasons why I think it took a little bit longer, besides my learning curve of what this audit actually, this review check, this compliance review check was about. But with the Metadata Dictionary piece, it really put focus on the tools that you're using, the amount of information that you're including in these tools. And I'm really excited about the potential for this piece. So let's just jump in real quick to Metadata Dictionary. So this is the law. These are the things we checked for. Metadata Dictionary means a record that defines and discloses. So we have to have some sort of mechanism on your website that has the definitions and the data points. I bet there's a model document for that. Anyway, or a couple of them. Comprehensively lists the recipients with whom the education entity has personally identifiable student data, including the purpose. We're going to talk about purpose a little bit. This one's a little nuanced, not super nuanced, but we want to have kind of a little bit more clear communication about what a purpose is and what a purpose isn't. The justification, who gives you kind of jurisdiction over distributing this piece of technology or third-party vendor. And then under FERPA or federal law, what is the exception? And then this piece right here, that it is displayed on your website. Pretty simple. So this is what an incomplete piece could look like. Most folks have something on their website that says Metadata Dictionary. There is one LEA that still is pointed to the old data gateway tool that no longer exists. I'm glad that we as a state have really kind of turned the page on that thing, and we're really in the mindset of working with the tools that we do currently have available to us. But this would be an example of the required changes. A lot of this seems very cumbersome. A lot of this sounds like you're going to have to hire a staff member to just go and do this. And I'm here to tell you that these yellow and red marks are not something that you should worry yourself with, because there's a lot of fish in this pond, and I'm going to teach you how to get them out of here. Okay, so next would be, well, this is an example built into SDPC that some folks have linked to in addition to what they have. And this would serve the purpose of those data elements and definitions. And they're all listed in there. I'll show you in just a moment how the tools that we've given you access to have this baked in. But if these are things that you are missing, these are elements that are very, very easy to add to that data privacy interface that you have on your website. It's essentially maybe just creating a link that goes to this, or that's something that we can talk about in our remediation meeting. Purpose. For each product resource in your MDD, you should provide a brief description of why you are sharing the PII with the recipient. Your stated purpose is usually something about why you are using the product or resource, not necessarily the technical description of why the vendor needs that specific information. So essentially what we're looking for, and these are some examples of purposes, but the essence of a metadata dictionary is that we want, I'm a parent, there's other folks on the team, a lot of you are parents. I want to be able to go to my LEA's website and say, what is the purpose of this tool? And the purpose being kind of like, what is the advertisement? What's that elevator speech of this is why we use it and this is who we use it with? So there are instances, and right here, if you use SDPC and you are missing purposes on your metadata dictionary, you can see there's some of these missing. There is a kind of a weird little way that you have to sneak in to do that, and that tutorial is linked right here. So you can find that. So if you're missing purposes, click on the tutorial and or go into your Google Sheet or Learn platform, and we'll talk about what purpose looks like in Learn platform in just a minute, because Learn has some of those things built in, but that goes back to this technical description. Learn platform, it may be like for Adobe or Canvas, like join a class now. Like that doesn't necessarily, I mean, a lot of us know what Canvas is, but that doesn't necessarily meet the spirit of what we're looking at here. Justification, it comes back to these three pieces. If you use SDPC, this is a drop-down menu for Learn platform. Madra, who is our customer service rep, and I'll show you an example of what this could look like. They've built in some of this stuff for your public library that you can use. And like I said, if you've got any pinks over here, your tutorial is included in this. So justification and exception, how to change those is located in this tutorial. If you are an SDPC user, if you can just change those columns in your Google Sheet if that's what you use. It's like I said, mostly it's going to be the school official exception in FERPA. And on Learn platform, some folks have used badges, other folks have used some of those tags. This is what a great metadata dictionary looks like on the Google Sheet template that we have. You can see here it's got the data recipient, it's on their website. The purpose or description is very kind of detailed. Aspire is an SIS, student information system. And then it's got a checkbox in each one of these areas. And as you can see, there could be instances where there's two. DLM has a federal requirement. What's the FERPA exception, etc. So we just want to make sure that that is all filled out and comprehensive. Some of these are just missing little tick boxes here and there. On SDPC, you can see here that Troy has that data elements and definitions linked right up here to his, which is fantastic. For a lot of you that use SDPC, you can open, there's another yellow button that gets embedded right here. Most of you already have that. It's baked in. So that meets that requirement. SDPC, unlike the other tools, has this aspect where you can actually click on the agreements and see what the agreements are. The agreements are not listed on any of the other tools. And as you can see here too, this is where our purpose, justification, and FERPA exception is listed for all of our different tools. And then we've got, all sorts of different data. I mean, SDPC is designed specifically to meet the requirements of this compliance check. And this is an example of how a purpose does not work in Learn Platform, and a lot of times it does, but Creative Cloud for schools, universities, and education doesn't necessarily work. However, Caleb's put in here, Creative Cloud gives users access to a collection of software developed by Adobe for graphic design, video editing, etc., etc. I'm a parent. I totally know what that is used for now. Justification, FERPA exception. We've got all the stuff on here. Right here, this is his link that'll take him to that data definitions piece. This passing grade. So here's the Metadata Dictionary compliance review stuff. There's a lot of weird colors on here, so I'm going to go through and explain. Of the 139 that submitted this year, we have 31 passing metadata dictionaries. 22% of the LEAs in the state have passing metadata dictionaries. Now that sounds pretty slim. When we go back to what it was looking like for all of those policies when they were in the 90s, high 90s, and now we've got 22% for this. Of all the LEAs in the state, 24 got a perfect all pass. 17% of all LEAs. That's pretty significant. These look like low numbers, but let me kind of paint the picture. Last year, there were 8 passing metadata dictionaries. We've gone from 8 to 31. It's a growth of 23 LEAs and 15% growth over the course of that 1 year. Let's keep that momentum in that. Here's some quick little graphs. Let me see. I don't know how much time I want to spend on these graphs because I've got some time. Okay. So as of April 15th, last Saturday, my birthday, there were 156 LEAs total. This was the day before I got all of your reports taken care of. Of those 156, 139 of you are completed and received reports. Maybe not to the correct email address. Oh, thanks. I turned 45. Do I look 45? Anyway, of those, 17 are now in what I call coach and counsel. It's not, punitive. I just want to get everybody up to speed because I have goals and I want to talk to you about my goals. And this looks like, okay, like roughly 20%, or it's only 10% that we need to work on, 11%. That's not too bad. Of the 156, 90% or 90 total have all of your policy documents compliant. So directory information, FERPA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You have all of those. That's that 90%. There's only, a certain amount that submitted that don't have that. But all in all, like, we're really good on that. And then there's, this percentage that we just need to tweak it here. And a lot of these are the folks that haven't submitted yet also. So this looks pretty daunting, but I assure you, I am not daunted. The next is Metadata Dictionary. Like I said, of those, 31 are totally compliant. That's great right here. There are 108 that we are in this coach and counsel. Holy cow, 108. That seems like a lot of work, but I assure you, I have broad shoulders and I've got a plan. And then unknown are those 17 that we haven't worked with yet. Now those 17 may have compliant MDDs, but they haven't yet submitted their survey because I've been in I know that there's some folks from down in St. George that have asked me to look at their stuff and do a resubmission, and I haven't responded to you yet, Bruce Hatch, and I apologize. I've been busy, but you're on my mind. Compliance with these are the LEAs that received an all pass. I know. I just wanted to give everybody, look, this is great. That means that they passed everything, all their policy documents, all their metadata dictionary stuff. It looks really great. I'm really proud of all of this. And I don't want those of you that your names aren't on this list to feel bad because of my plan. So here's kind of my conclusion and some action items, okay? We're really close to compliance. Like, we're really close. I look at these metrics and I see like there are little tweaks here and there that all of you could take that I could guess, like if I did my job today, and you can go back and watch this presentation, or you can see how easy it is for you to just make these tweaks, and I've taught you how to fish on your own. Find some time, maybe next week. Maybe next week you're fine. You know, maybe we meet for a little bit. We need to talk it through and get it going. Maybe you haven't submitted yet. And we've got to just, you know, I'll take a look at it and I can spit out a report, you know, relatively quickly. But what I'd like to say is we're really close to compliance statewide. The average amount of missing elements on the metadata dictionary is 15. For those that have missing, that's only like it says right here, 3 products per agency. That's like you didn't put in something for Canvas, like, oops, let's go click and put those 3 things in. Done. Like, it's that simple. Those emails that I got yesterday and Monday are from probably more than 20 of you that have already submitted your report because it was fairly simple, or maybe I screwed up and didn't see something on your Learn Platform thing that was a little badge. You know, I'm only human, but that should push our numbers up already, and we haven't even done anything. This training, I'm hoping it will increase compliance. We've set up a remediation process for LEAs to schedule time with our team. I'm going to talk to you about that in just a second. I'm really excited about that. And I do not think that this is out of the realm of possibilities. Like, 22% of metadata dictionaries now, 8% last year, 22% this year. I'm confident that, like, if we can buckle down as a state, and like if you really need assistance, which I don't think many of you do, you can schedule an hour with me and we can have you locked down. And most of you can probably have it all locked down by the end of the call. I mean, not really. You're not going to do it during the call because you're listening to the call, but you get what I'm saying, that the amount of time that it's going to take to do this. My goal is 90% of us statewide are green. And with that being said, if we can get this compliance stuff and turn it into like a management piece to where we're getting our agreements, we're renewing our agreements, we're keeping our stuff online, we're keeping all of our stuff updated, which, you know, we're not creating all this stuff from scratch anymore. We've all done the big lift. 90% of us are going to be done with this compliance piece, and we're going to get into the stuff that we as a team really want to get into, which is, yeah, Tanya, you're right. We can talk about that. It doesn't have to supposed to be anywhere. We can talk about it. Yours is fine. But continuing our presence in the data privacy realm nationwide. I mean, I think that we as a team want to start getting into what we call like these privacy soft skills, and, you know, talking to teachers and staff about, you know, having what we call like this cone of silence, where we're not talking about youth in front of other youth and things like that. Things where we can have this culture of privacy in our agencies. And I'd like to really tell you that we as a state always hear, I'm in conversations nationwide, we as a state are very mature when it comes to this space nationwide. There are states that have no idea about how to even begin this. There are states that, I mean, legislatively, there are states that don't have an organization like the state agency that's spearheading a lot of this. Some of them, like California, has got a nonprofit organization that's spearheading a lot of this stuff. We have laws, we have teams, we have resources. A lot of the resources that you use are used nationwide. Cool, I get to stop talking a little bit. You know, Katie and I get to go and talk to some folks in Chicago in a little bit, and we get to boast about all of the work that you guys do. There's actually even a metric that we're talking about that I'd really like some feedback on from some of the LEAs in regard to the usage of SDPC, and essentially how that Exhibit E, the ability to just subscribe onto something, how much legal, contractual, attorney money that has been saved through the ability to acquire and obtain and subscribe to DPAs really quickly. I think that would be a very interesting metric for us to take a look at. because it really does. I mean, that's the point, is for it to save time and resources. This is it. This is my new thing. You can go here and you can book time with me. We don't have to play that game of when are you free. I'm free when you need me. You can essentially, if you want to just talk about baseball or, local rock music, we can have like a 30-minute meeting. If we want to do a remediation for your privacy compliance, my hope, let me put this out there before anybody goes and clicks on this, is that you will take the time to go through this thing that we've looked at, that you've learned to fish on your own, and you can correct it. You can go through and you can click the resubmission piece and kind of take care of it on your own. And if there's pieces that we aren't understanding, or if we need to kind of go in and dig in, or you're new to all of this and we need to talk about this, you please schedule one of these with me. And then if you use the Google Sheet, or you are new to SDPC, or you use Learn Platform and you want to transition to SDPC or have that in addition to what you're already using, then you can use this for us to schedule an SDPC onboarding. I think that's it. I think that my time as your game show host today is over. And thank you very much.
Thanks, John. While I'm pulling up my slideshow, does anyone have any questions for John?
Oh, look, there's 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Resources being spent to follow up on exhibitees that are not valid with an agreement that wouldn't have pursued in the past. Yeah, Tanya, you're right. So the thing is that there's all sorts of really cool ways that you can do Learn. I've seen different ways that people have done Google Sheets. That's really cool. We love SDPC because of how standardized it is and how clean it is. We're just really excited that all of you are using these tools. And the one thing that I think that Katie and I talk about so often, and the rest of the team, is how fluent for something. Privacy isn't something that is what takes up your lives, but you have all become so fluent in the language that we use, in sharing that with the folks that you work with. And we're just really excited about some of the things that we have up our sleeves.
Do you want to speak to Tanya's question?
A non-best practice place? A non-best practice would be, I've seen ones where, well, we actually saw one where it was like what was it, like a Word doc where they had it in the, but they just essentially the law is a document or display that has all of those facets. So all three of them are fantastic. It really, I mean, honestly, it really just depends on your agency's size and scale and the amount of tools that you use and how often you're updating things. I mean, for a small LEA, that Google Sheet is fantastic. For a middle-sized LEA, SDPC is fantastic. And we've heard from some really large LEAs that SDPC isn't necessarily super easy over the course of time. Like Alpine, our largest, you guys use SDPC. But and Learn is really great for that teacher-facing side. And a lot of our agencies, I mean, if you are really interested in learning more about Learn, you can talk to some folks at Washington, or talk to me and I can connect you with Madra at Learn. They're fantastic. And there is no best practice would be just having something that doesn't have the stuff on it.
Thanks, John.